please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. To those guests who've just joined us, welcome. Our next stop is the Magic Kingdom. Ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching our station at the entrance to Main Street, USA, gateway to the 7 theme lands of the Magic Kingdom.
Welcome aboard the Monday Morning Monorail podcast. This is Justin Monorail, and I've got my whole Monorail family in the room with me today, one of them giving me a weird look. We're going to start with you.
Not here.
Not here. I will mark you absent, and I will be calling your parents. Chicken is here. Garrett Monorail, welcome back. Glad you're a non-willing participant in the show today. Bring your A game. Secondly, we will introduce...
Oh no. Yo mama. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
For being my mama?
No.
McKenna Monorail is here. And lastly in the room...
Samantha Monorail.
Samantha Monorail with her giant jug of water on the table.
This is actually another part of, like, why don't we have a microphone set up?
It's another cast member?
Yeah, this is really rude.
It'll have just as much to say as Garrett does, so...
Suck it, Garrett!
That's not funny.
I need to drink my water today.
Yeah,
so.
no kidding. Look forward to many bathroom stops in your future.
I
We
mean,
may have to
it's
pause
already
the
happening.
episode. While you take your bathroom stop, I'll introduce the final member of the Monorail family joining us via the magical Monday Morning Monorail video hotline. It is Landon the Dawes Doan. Landon, welcome to the Monorail.
Always fun to be joining you in the monorail, coming to you from the isolation station of love. I like how y'all have your own giant jug, because I'm going to reach off camera here. I, too, have my own giant jug. So, mine's a little bit more fun. It's that Lynchburg water you hear so much about. So it's going to be a fun episode, I have a feeling.
Well, you're fine, because Lynchburg is a dry county. It's a dry town in Tennessee. So, obviously, it just had to be, like, nice distilled water that you've got there.
Mm-hmm.
Very good for you.
Distilled in handcrafted barrels, of course.
Yeah, I'm not allowed Lynchburg water right now. So
that's true.
sad.
75 hard.
And I'm only 7 days in.
I was going to say day 2.
Feels like it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to the Monorail. This is episode number 143, and today is January the 18th, 2021. I wrote 2020.
Yeah, that says 2020. Why'd you say 2021?
I remembered in my pea brain the correct year. And here we are. Well, as we like to do on the first segment of this program, is we kick it off by reviewing some headlines from around the Walt Disney World Resort. Today we're going to get started with a couple things that are going away, have been pretty big topics of discussion over this last week. We had a chance to talk about them on Tuesday on the Parks and Monorail's Most Magical Hour, but the kids didn't get to weigh in, and I need to get Landon's opinion on these things as well. So let's start with the Disney's Magical Express news. In 2022, there will no longer be a Magical Express service from the Orlando International Airport to Disney and back again. It's being retired. So
That's crazy.
yeah, those free buses that were provided as a service to guests staying on Walt Disney World Resort property. You used to be able to step off a plane, bring your luggage down to the Magical Express desk, table, give them your luggage, tell them where you're going. They throw you on the bus with your luggage, and off you go.
I mean,
Your luggage would show up at your room eventually.
it kind of makes sense.
Why do you say that?
Because they're building the train.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do. You have to pay for the train.
Yeah,
and it's not going to go to specific hotels. It's just going to go to Disney Springs.
Yeah, you figure out when you get there.
I mean, it's going to be an option from MCO for sure. And I'm excited about the train. Of course, we won't have to worry about it necessarily. But Garrett, what do you think about this?
I don't know. How many times have we used that bus?
Well, we never did because we drove down to Disney both times that we took a family trip.
Exactly. So it's not really going to affect us much.
I know, but okay. Agreed.
But what about other people, Garrett? Not just you.
You know, this-
Well, I mean, he was asking my opinion on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people try to save money on their vacation.
Well, basically what you're saying is people are either going to have to take that train that eventually will exist or rent a car or maybe do a Lyft or Uber service. Landon, as somebody who comes down to the Walt Disney World Resort, I know you don't stay typically on Disney property. Well, you stay on property just at a non-Disney hotel. Have you ever done Magical Express yourself?
No, I've never experienced Magical Express myself. You made reference when I could, come down there when the world wasn't on fire as I vaguely wave my hands around in the background. I always would use a Lyft or an Uber. And I'll tell you, it's like from MCO to my airport, that's about a $40 trip both ways. So I would have liked to have the option of an express to drop me off in the Magic Kingdom. And I like for those going on their vacation that do want to enter that Disney bubble that we talk about immediately, like when you get to the airport, boom, it's vacation time and you're inside that fun bubble. This is kind of a bummer. And I mean, Disney ain't cheap. Staying on Disney properties ain't cheap either. So it does kind of suck that they're taking away this free way of getting you to Disney property.
Yeah.
I mean, the train's coming eventually, but like you said, Jay, you're going to have to pay for it. And I mean, it's probably going to end up being faster, but at the same time, like, free's a nice price point for a lot of people, especially when you've already paid through the nose to get down to Orlando to go to the House of the Mouse.
Well, you really think the train will be faster? Because the train, if I remember correctly, only gets you to Disney Springs.
Well,
then you have to get on a bus with your luggage to get to your room.
Yeah, I think Landon's saying...
Or Lyft or whatever.
Yeah, I think Landon's saying point A to point B. From airport to Disney Springs, it's going to be a fast, efficient trip. Now, getting to your hotel from there, of course, what I've been saying is, if you do choose to take the train to Disney Springs, what I hope is that there'll be some sort of like a luggage concierge service that'll pick up your luggage from there and take it to your resort. And you could just hang out at Disney Springs, go get some food, do some shopping.
That sounds a little bit like the free service they were offering at the airport.
This could be just in like vans. Essentially picking stuff up and dropping it off.
Still be nice.
Just a bunch of dudes in vans taking your stuff.
Yeah. For like a van for each resort. I don't know. It's, I think there are trade-offs. I've never done the Magical Express. I know what it's like because at one point I did take the Disney, I guess it's kind of a Magical Express. It was the cruise line bus that picks you up from Disney and takes you over to the port, Canaveral. They play Disney cartoons. You get to just hang out and relax. You don't have to worry about driving. And I realized that the Magical Express didn't always get the greatest reviews because people would say, well, your resort's probably not going to be the first stop. And sometimes it takes some time to get your luggage. My argument is you make a trade-off, right? So it's free. You're getting the convenience of not having to worry about traveling, handling your luggage, doing all that stuff. I don't mind a little bit of inconvenience with that. I'll make that trade-off, but I know other people don't want to. We have a lot of our friends in the Monorail community and Monorail fam that say they just prefer renting a car anyway, so I think a lot of people aren't going to be affected. But, our friend Lee over in the UK, he was saying that in the future their flights are going to be coming into Sanford instead of MCO anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot of international flights in our area.
Yeah.
Really? Into Sanford?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, which maybe that means they'll upgrade the airport a little bit.
Oh my gosh,
They actually
that
are
airport is
already.
So tiny.
Good.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's expanding and growing and stuff. So who knows? I mean, but that being the case, if a lot of international flights are coming in there, that's a huge chunk of MCO business, I guess.
Yeah, would imagine.
So anyways, just a change. It's something to be aware of. 2022, if you're planning your next Disney vacation, you typically rely on that Magical Express, you need to be aware of that for sure. And keep in mind, if you're going to rent a car now, you also have to pay parking fees at the resorts.
Yeah, that thought did enter my mind.
Yeah. They're going to charge you. Disney.
I'm starting to think this whole thing is a profit deal.
That's right. It always comes back to Disney trying to make money. What are they trying to do?
Be a company.
Yeah, be a company. Another thing going away for Disney resort guests, extra magic hours. Yeah. So the Disney Parks blog actually announced that the extra magic hours are going to be replaced with early theme park entry as part of the 50th anniversary celebration. I don't know that we actually have a date for this changeover, but what's going to happen is instead of a particular park either having an extra hour or a little extra time afterwards or before, all 4 parks are getting a 30-minute early opening for resort guests. So every day that's going to happen. So what do you think about that?
I mean, it's pretty lame, actually, because that does affect us. Because everybody will be able to get in that. You know, we don't stay at resorts all the time because we're local. And it would be very expensive if we did stay every time we went to Disney. But, I mean, and actually for 2 years, we didn't even stay at a resort at all. So things that, you know, we might want to ride, we won't be able to do like a rope drop or anything on. But also, those people are paying extra to be at Disney. So maybe, but still, it just sucks.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think of as a local. It essentially means, like you said, no more rope dropping because it's not possible. Now, we don't typically rope drop anyway, and we aren't really people who try to be like day one people. First, like we're not first culture people typically. I know Star Wars Galaxy's Edge was an exception to that, but come on.
Come on, it's Star Wars.
Come on. I mean, I don't know. McKenna might want to line up day one for Ratatouille.
Maybe. But I also think that, I don't know, I don't really hate that the extra magic hours are going away. Not from, because like I liked having them, but also it lets people who are working go home instead of having to stay there forever.
Well, you think that, but let me tell you
but then they always stay anyway.
Well, I'm going to say something that changes that a little bit too, in that what they can do is if they don't offer extra magic hours at night, they either extend park hours for everybody or they start offering more after hours hard ticket events and charging people to be in the parks after a certain time. Yeah, because it gives them the ability to do that if they don't have to worry about an extra magic hour all the time, you know, at some park. So, I don't know. I guess I was going to say we don't really rope drop typically anyway, so it doesn't really affect us that much. And what I kind of hope an effect might be is that resort guests go earlier. They're encouraged to go earlier, and maybe they're out earlier. So in the evenings, it's more open, a little more, you know, less crowded. I don't know. Maybe that doesn't happen, but
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Landon, you have any thoughts on that one?
I'm more bummed about this news than I was about the Magical Express or whatever. I mean, obviously, we made reference whenever I come down, I don't stay on property, so I'm not able to partake in the extra hours and stuff like that. But that was always a draw that was very nice. I mean, I already talked about staying on a Disney property isn't cheap, so that was a nice addition to it. But at the same time, it's like I was always aware of what park had extra magic hours that morning because I knew to stay away from that park that day because it was generally a cluster stuff. Yeah. Just, you know, crazy busy lines that you don't want to wait through. So I am kind of aggravated in that aspect that I no longer can plan around it because everybody gets the 30-minute head start. But I don't know. I mean, we'll get over it, I suppose.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point, actually, that you make. Typically, we would kind of do the same thing. When I was looking ahead at what days we might want to go to what parks, I would check what parks had extra magic hours, and I was like, oh, maybe that one will be a little more crowded because resort guests are going to be funneled to that park. Yep. Maybe we go somewhere else. On the flip side of that, I remember when we took our 2014 trip, I planned park days based on where the extra magic hours were. Yeah. I mean, because we wanted more time in the parks.
Yeah, that's true.
So, again, just another thing that if you're staying on Walt Disney World Resort property, this is a perk that you typically have had for the last 2 decades, 3 decades. I don't know how long they've been doing this.
Long time.
Long time. Now it's going to be gone.
Just seems like a lot of perks are getting cut.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, very convenient for them because the COVID, they can use that as an excuse.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's just crappy.
Yeah.
And they can use this virus as an excuse, but really they're just being kind of crappy right now.
Yeah. The question has now come up, and I've seen it being kind of bantered about on a lot of different social media platforms. You start taking these perks away, then how do you sell me on paying a Disney premium to stay at a Disney resort if I'm not getting any perks for being there?
Right.
It's a fair point.
Yeah.
Well, and I know this is a Walt Disney World podcast, but let's just look out on the left coast when they announced that Disneyland's APs are just like they're not being canceled in 2020. They're gone.
Yeah. Sunset.
Like GTFO, baby. And I'm not going to lie. The thought did cross my mind. It's like, what if they do that out here? Now I realize Disneyland to Walt Disney World are two different cultures. Generally in Disneyland, it's more of, the locals and stuff like that, where Walt Disney World is more of like you're traveling from far and wide to come here. But at the same time, I'm not going to lie. That thought did cross my mind if they were to introduce just getting rid of the APs in Orlando. And I'll be honest, I canceled my AP when the whole pandemic started, and I'm wanting this pandemic to end so I can re-up on my AP.
Yeah. I just can't imagine it's permanent. I think the issue you've got is that with Disneyland, it's been closed for nearly a year.
That's true.
Now.
That's crazy.
So there is going to be huge pent-up demand for people to go to Disneyland. And
there's already huge pent-up demand to go into it now, and it's not even open.
Right. So they can charge a pretty penny for tickets to get into Disneyland for a while. And they'll bring it back. But the thing that I guess the debate is, what do you do for the people who had them? When do you let them renew? There's so much uncertainty around that, when that resort's even going to be able to reopen. I think that has a lot to do with what's going on with the APs.
Yeah.
Disney makes a lot of money in Orlando and in California off of its annual pass holders. I can't imagine them just totally getting rid of the program forever.
I'll just say it right now. If they got rid of passes, I won't go again.
Yeah, I mean, if there were no APs, I guess we'd be going to Universal. I don't know.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds kind of like, oh, really? You won't go again? But it's I loved having the ability. So, yes, I understand my situation somewhat different. I'm not a local, but I still have, as I've previously said, airline points falling out of my butt. So I can just, all right, I got a couple of days off where I can ask off for work. I got my AP. Let's book a flight, head down to Orlando, and I can just, go to the parks, which, I mean, granted, we are living in a very vastly different world right now. But if I didn't have that ability, if, everything was as it should be, or hopefully it will be again, I don't know how often I would go down to Orlando.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so I don't think this is forever for Disneyland, and I don't think the program's going to go away in Orlando. I just think it's a product of what's going on right now, and they just are like, let's hit the reset button and we'll figure it out when we open back up.
Yeah, I mean, I truly mean that. I won't go because what will end up happening is picking to go to Disney over another trip
a vacation.
would be a vacation away from home is going to be what do I do? Because it's going to cost a lot to go to Disney, and I'm probably going to pass. Maybe once every 4 years, I would be like, let's go to Disney this time. But I'm not going to go all the time. No way.
Yeah. I agree.
And they're going to lose all their free promotion from content creators.
That's true, too.
I know that sounds silly.
No, you're right. That's a fact.
But think about it. You got all these people who do these YouTube videos and stuff every day.
People make podcasts about it.
It's weird. It's crazy.
Weird.
It's free promotion.
Disney will rue the day when they lose the monorail. They will rue it.
That's true. Don't you dare cross the monorail,
we will
fam.
burn it down, Disney.
We ride together. Don't you forget it.
Yeah, we're the fam.
I'm getting kind of mad about this.
No, we're fine. We're gonna end this on we're gonna go on an uptick here. A couple things I wanted to mention before we wrap up. First of all, they've got rotating displays in a lot of the different pavilions in World Showcase in EPCOT. Mm-hmm. They are changing out the one in the American Adventure. The one that's coming very soon is called The Soul of Jazz, an American Adventure.
Jazz?
Yeah, it's a new exhibit featuring Joe Gardner from Disney Pixar's
Okay.
Soul in a musical tour of jazz throughout the decades.
It's jazz.
jazz.
I like jazz. I love learning about jazz.
Yeah.
But the only reason they're doing this is to put a
to bring soul in.
put a character.
Not
in
soul
there.
music, but jazz. This is like a who's on first situation.
I think it's more they want to do a jazz thing, and they just had a movie that has a lot of jazz, and they're putting the character who is related to jazz in the jazz thing.
Are you sure it's not more of a?
Or maybe
We made this movie. Let's. We need to put it in the parks. Let's put it in the park.
it could be
it's
that,
both.
That
It's both, I think.
the movie was popular, and they're like, people like this, so let's just put a jazz thing in the park. It's not like a huge thing.
Well, I want to point out.
understand.
I want to point out something else too. Jazz is considered its roots are in African American culture.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the movie.
Right. So what I'm saying is now is a time in our country where it's pretty important that we shine a light on that sort of thing.
That's a good point.
Without African American culture, we wouldn't have most music.
I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying jazz is one that's very closely tied to African American roots.
Yeah.
So I think that this is really interesting, particularly because the show in the American Adventure doesn't necessarily show all sides of everything.
No.
So-
it's crazy.
So anyway, I like it. I'm for it.
But Mark Twain and Benjamin Franklin,
They don't kiss.
They got some kind of
They don't
chemistry
kiss.
going on.
Yes, they do. You're just blocking that part out of your memory.
New
They do.
Pavilion. Mark Twain and Ben Franklin's date.
They don't kiss in the show.
Yes, they do.
This is Mandela effect.
They're kissing in the show.
Finally, to wrap up segment 1, Gideon's Bakehouse opened in Disney Springs this
God.
weekend.
Oh
Officially,
boy, did it.
the grand opening. And the line eventually had to be cut off because it got so long. Now, they were doing a virtual queue, but the anticipated wait time for people who got in at the end of that line was 11 hours.
God in heaven.
Wouldn't you be in bed? Aren't you going to be in bed?
you know, they got in line around like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, so it'd be like 7 or 8 at night when they got called back. If it was...
Do you go to bed then, McKenna?
No.
No.
I sadly do, but I get up in the middle of the night to go to work. So.
Yeah. So, well, the funny thing about this was I made some jokes about it on Twitter because I just thought an 11-hour wait for cookies was
It's
absurd.
ridiculous.
Even though
As it is.
even though I get how the mechanics of it worked, but I had people that were jumping into my replies explaining what a virtual queue was. Do they know who they're talking to?
I know.
You
you're
got
like,
well, actually. That's hilarious.
You're the virtual queue guy.
I am the virtual queue guy.
Okay, but where is Lil Gideon's Bakehouse?
It's in Disney Springs.
Little
I said
Gideon's.
Lil
Oh, wait.
Gideon, like
That's a Gravity Falls reference.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I just had a question based on this. So anyway, Gideon's cookies, go look at them. They're pretty ridiculous. Basically,
awesome.
basically they're like, would you like a bag of M&Ms with a tiny little bit of cookie dough inside? Here you go. Or would you like a bag of chocolate chip, like chips, all over, like maybe some crumbled cocoa dust? Here's a cookie.
I want to try them.
It's extreme.
They are extreme.
I
But-
would like to try them. So I guess I'm in the minority in this house.
No,
I'm
I'll
serious,
try
though.
'em.
We need more Gravity Falls stuff.
I agree with that. That's another topic for another day.
I'm excited. I'm more excited about the donut place.
Yeah, Everglazed is open now. We didn't talk about that. We got
I
to
would
try
like
that.
to try that.
But here's my question I wanted to pose to each of you as we wrap up segment 1. Is there anything in the Walt Disney World Resort you would wait virtually or in a standby queue 11 hours for?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, if it's virtual, right, you could do other stuff while you're waiting.
What are you going to do in Disney Springs for 11 hours?
oh, I would virtual queue for 11 hours for the Ratatouille ride and then go and eat.
But you're in a theme park. So
Okay, wait, hold on. Do they have like gorillas and monkeys in Rainforest Cafe?
They have
Not
animatronic
real ones.
monkeys.
Animatronic, like monkeys and stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
I know what I'm going to do for 11 hours.
They'll kick you out. You won't be allowed.
They won't see me.
Look,
You're going to be a monkey?
I'm gonna be part of the monkey.
look, I like shopping as much as anybody. I love going into World Disney. I just can't fathom. And I know you could leave Disney Springs, but essentially, in order to do this, you would have had to shape your whole day
Around
around getting a cookie.
Yep. I mean, like if you expanded it to the parks, yeah, sure. I mean, I would wait in an 11-hour queue for Rise of the Resistance. But if you're limiting it to Disney Springs, like I love Jock Lindsay's as maybe more than anybody. I don't know if I could spend 11 hours in Jock Lindsay and be like, okay, just 4 more hours and that get me a giant ass cookie or something like that. And it's like, Sam, I'm with you. I want to try one of these things, but I'm gonna agree with Jay here. This is excessive amount of chocolate. And I say that as a fat guy. So like I feel like I am the perfect person to talk about giant cookies that are really unhealthy for you.
So, fun fact, there's actually a Gideon's bakery outside of Disney Springs. It's less than like 20 minutes away. You could just drive over there or get an Uber over there and get some cookies. And you wouldn't be waiting 11 hours.
But is it
This one looks cool.
Yeah, it looks spooky in there.
It looks like an old library or something.
The theme is supposed to be very similar.
No way.
Oh my God, I'm not even freaking lying.
Don't believe it.
I mean, looking at these cookies, it's like Jay and I were talking yesterday about these things, and it's like the line from Jurassic Park where Jeff Goldblum's character says, "Yeah, your scientists were so preoccupied with if they can, they never stopped to ask should they." Like why? What is the point of this? And yes, I know I butchered the line. I apologize, but holy Lord in heaven. Come on, y'all.
We get it, Gideons. We get it.
It's like, yes, here in America, we love access. Like more is never a bad thing. I'm going to disagree right here, and I'm looking at Gideon's Bakehouse because God in heaven. Like, I really hope they serve up an insulin shot after every cookie.
What does the theming look like?
It looks like an old library.
I want to see it.
Actually, it may be 20 minutes away from our house and further from Disney Springs a little bit, maybe like 30, but still.
That's not 11 hours.
Exactly,
compared to 30 minutes down the road. It's not bad.
Just wait till you see the virtual queue to get into that world's largest White Castle when it opens.
Oh my gosh. Did you hear about the Steak and Shake drive-thru that's coming to Orlando?
No, but I don't like Steak and Shake.
The first ever drive-thru Steak and Shake.
We have one.
No, it was a drive-thru in Knoxville. Are you talking about drive-in?
Yeah, there's one in Turkey Creek.
A drive-in, like a Sonic kind of a Steak and Shake?
No, there isn't a drive-through Steak and Shake.
Yes, you could drive through the one in Turkey Creek.
No.
You can drive through the one over next to the mall.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
I thought
No,
that was
you
like
can't.
a
Yes,
whole
you can.
thing, like part of the theming.
You
No.
definitely can, McKenna. Sorry.
No.
So anyway,
no.
fake news.
No.
All right.
Nope, we're no longer saying that. It's my turn.
We're going to wrap up fake news segment 1. It's time to head over to M34D. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Monorail. This is the Disney Deep Dive with the Dawes, and still alongside me is my friend Landon the Dawes-Done. Landon, are you ready for another round of M34D?
Yes, with a question mark? I mean, what is yes with a question mark?
What is yes? R.I.P. Our favorite Alex Trebek. Yeah, what a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know why you're a little trepidatious today. We're going to be covering a subject that you really, you feel like maybe you had no exposure to at all. It's quite possible you didn't experience. And one that I know that I did experience, but as we were doing the research for this particular segment, I realized there were things that I thought were in other places that were actually in this attraction.
So what we're saying is it's going to be a really good edition of M34D, everybody.
Well, we've done the research. We have our facts in front of us. We're going to stick to the facts and just the facts, ma'am. And we'll see how far we go. That's a Moana song.
Oh, okay. All right. Got to tie it to Disney. I appreciate sticking to the gimmick.
Yeah. Let's remove this veil of secrecy around the topic for today's M34D. We are still in EPCOT. We're still talking early EPCOT and retired EPCOT at this point. These are things that some of these things we're talking about don't exist anymore. This one, a large hole has been created in its absence in Future World. But we are indeed going to be discussing Communicore. I will probably plop in Interventions music behind this. I doubt I can find separate Communicore. I'll try. If I can find Communicore music, if it was different, that'll be the bed of the episode.
I have faith that you can pull it off. If anybody can, it's you, Mr. Monorail.
We'll give it a shot. Interventions music is really good, though. So if we end up there, we're in good shape.
all the background music in Epcot's really stellar. So
yes, you know, I was going to differentiate and say, well, especially Future World, but even the World Showcase music, it's all so good. It's top-notch theme park music for sure. But yeah, we're going to talk about Communicore today. Communicore is interesting because it was a product of the concept for what Epcot was actually supposed to be. And maybe it was the most, I would say, like, true to that concept, the most faithful to the original idea of what Epcot was going to be in design and original execution, although there were some changes that had to be made because it ended up not being a true community center. But this was really supposed to be the community core, thus Communicore, of the experimental prototype community of tomorrow, Epcot. So think about Magic Kingdom. Let's start there. When you enter Magic Kingdom, you first go into Town Square, and then you walk through Main Street USA. You've got your restaurants, you've got shops, you've got your necessities, things you're going to need for the day, and souvenirs. You've got, you know, it really sets you up for what the idea of the park is going to be. You're being transported to another place in time, and it's your gateway to the rest of your experience in Magic Kingdom. Communicore was really intended to be that for Epcot. When it was designed, the intent was that guests would actually have to pass through it before they went to any other place in Epcot. So with that in mind, they had restaurants, they had shops, and then they had exhibits, really that were demonstrating inventions and hands-on technology that you could experience firsthand before you stepped out into the rest of Epcot. But it also tied back to a lot of the Future World, other pavilions, and we'll talk more about that as we go. If you remember, think about a map of Epcot in your mind, especially an old map. You've got Spaceship Earth as that, you know, the thing that draws your eye. It is the icon of the park. And then you have these two semicircles that almost make like a halo around Spaceship Earth. You would probably know them as interventions. You now know them as gutted construction disasters.
Yeah.
Eyesores for sure. That the walls that they've put up around them don't really protect you from what is happening behind those walls, because those buildings were large, and right now they're mostly gutted. But this is where Communicore was. I mean, it was Communicore up until January of 1994. When they decided to close it and rework it, it became Interventions. But most people, if you've got any exposure to Epcot over in the past, you think about these things as maybe a place that you didn't even really spend a lot of time in, because as time went on, Interventions was really like a shell of its former self. A lot of the sponsors and exhibits kind of rotated out. They didn't really get replaced with much, and in fact, when I think of Interventions, there's only a couple things that come to mind as things that I remember really clearly. And one of them was there was a whole like wing of Interventions that was just video game consoles.
Yep. I remember that. We were talking before we started rolling. That's the one thing that rang bells for me when it came to Communicore / Interventions. And like, I'm going to say what I said last week about Journey into Imagination, you know, in the part afterwards with all the interactive stuff. It's like when it was first introduced, the technology was killer and cutting edge and very, you know, wow, look at this. But as technology caught up to it, it became like okay, this is kind of cool, to the point where technology surpassed. It's like, okay, this is just kitsch. And now we have a row of PlayStations here, you know, showing off the latest Crash Bandicoot game.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It did get to the point they had the thing we reference often, a Tomorrowland problem of, you know, how do you keep this fresh and innovative when people have the kind of technology that they have in their hands or in their homes, and you still want it to be engaging. And the idea was really to kind of open your eyes to what tomorrow could be, the possibilities and the promise of tomorrow. But, you know, it's difficult and probably very, very expensive when technology moves as fast as it does to keep some sort of an exhibit like Innoventions and Communicore was fresh and new and exciting for people, when really we've all become pretty jaded by the technology that we have. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, last week we talked about the technology we all have in our hands or in our pockets. I mean, just in our phones alone. Like I've always heard, you know, NASA could have gotten to the moon with the technology we have in our phones. I don't know if that's true, but I wouldn't be shocked if it is. But yeah, like you said, like as fast as technology moves, it really is that Tomorrowland problem.
Yeah, the Tomorrowland problem. Yeah. That being said, Innoventions ended up being closed just, you know, it's September 7th of 2019. So actually my mom's birthday, almost a year and a half ago. Happy birthday, Mom, closing Innoventions.
Yep. Way to go, Aunt Janice. You did it.
Yeah. And now it's being totally gutted and the whole thing redone. I want to take a step back just a little bit and talk a little bit more about kind of the original design, because I think there's some really interesting things when you just think about Communicore from a design perspective. One of them was, if you remember, these, like I said, these buildings were really tall. A main reason for that is there was supposed to be a second floor to Communicore, and on that second floor there was going to be a people mover system.
That would have been so cool.
Yeah.
The people mover around Epcot, it'd be a really long ride, but I mean, even just contained inside Communicore, that would have been really cool.
Well, Communicore is huge because it was huge. Both of the buildings, you've got two semicircles as I described, east and west. And one thing that's always confusing about Epcot is when you think east and west, you naturally are kind of thinking, I enter the park, I'm headed north, so east is right, west is left. Epcot is reverse of that because you actually head south into Epcot. So
that's not confusing at all.
I know, it really trips the brain up. So when you talk about Communicore East, you're actually talking about what's on the left-hand side. So that's kind of weird. But yes, the buildings themselves were like 100,000 square foot each. And they were built in these semicircular designs with removable outer windows so that they could be added onto and almost double the size of both buildings.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So you already start with a massive piece of real estate and you have the option to double it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Humongous. We're talking about, it would have been, you know, if things had fully come to fruition, 400,000 square feet of exhibition space.
That's quite large.
Yeah, it's hard to even imagine that. But yeah, that was kind of the idea. And again, the reason being, this was the core of what Epcot was supposed to be. And the whole idea was everything that you experienced in Epcot was going to radiate out from these buildings. Another idea that was put into practice with Communicore was, this was, like I said, it was a way to demonstrate technology. It was a way to introduce people to personal computing. So one of the themes throughout the building was trying to get people more comfortable with the idea that computers were safe and user-friendly and something you could have in your home eventually, and it wasn't something to fear.
Justin, that's ridiculous. There's no way that me, Joe Q Public, could ever have a personal computer in my own home.
It's totally crazy because, honestly, you know, back in those days, well, just ride through Spaceship Earth. And when you get to the computer room,
massive
computers used to take up whole rooms.
Just chonguses of technology.
Yeah. So we were on the verge at this point of computers, you know, really becoming more available and a more reasonable idea for people to have in their own house. But we were just on the tip of that. So people were still like, you know, why do I need a computer in my house? What good is that going to do me?
Oh, how the times have changed.
Yeah. So that was another thing going on. And when we get to inside the attraction and some of the exhibits, we're going to talk more about that because the Sherman Brothers are going to come back in a big way.
You know, I've heard of these particular brothers.
Yeah. We need to add another song to the list of ranking the Sherman Brothers.
Literally just took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about the size. One thing that you'll notice if you do a little bit of this history research that we've done on Communicore is some adjustments had to be made based on the fact that as they were constructing Communicore, they found sinkholes they didn't necessarily expect. And so originally the Odyssey restaurant that we now know as the EPCOT experience, still called the Odyssey, was going to be attached to Communicore East. Unfortunately, a sinkhole opened where that was supposed to be, so they had to move the location. That sinkhole is now still a small lake right there, just off the side of the Odyssey. They didn't fill it in; they just ended up making it a water feature of Epcot, which is kind of cool.
That is cool, because I guess when life gives you sinkholes, you make it a water feature.
Yeah.
You know, that old saying.
I mean, you got to make the best of it. We mentioned it had restaurants. One of the things that it had was the Sunrise Terrace, which eventually expanded when they added on a little bit. And then it also had a restaurant that would eventually become the Electric Umbrella.
That everybody sorely misses.
Yeah, of course. But it was called the Stargate Restaurant from 82 to 94. It served breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And, I mean, a lot of it wasn't like exciting, innovative foods like we're hoping to get at Space 220 when that eventually opens someday.
Opening soon, question mark?
But you could get omelets for breakfast, which is nice.
Hey, never a bad time for an omelet.
I know. But then for lunch, dinner, it was like hamburger, pizza, salad, that sort of thing. Nothing crazy.
Okay, apparently there is a bad time for an omelet after breakfast. My bad.
Yeah. It became a little more like what you'd expect at the Electric Umbrella for years to come. And then, of course, there was Beverage Base that was near the Stargate that offered, snacks, popcorn, fruit, dessert, that sort of thing, and drinks. One of the things I definitely wanted to pick out and talk about was the large shop that was part of Communicore, and it launched as a place called Centorium, which was actually a 2-level shop, the largest one in Epcot. In 1999, they had to move it while they reimagined it and redesigned it, and then it eventually became Mouse Gear. But yeah, Mouse Gear is great. I loved Mouse Gear, and I hope that when it comes back that it's better than ever when they get that rebuilt. And I think they've made a lot of progress on Mouse Gear, by the way.
I was going to say, the last time I was down there, it's like I had to ask several cast members, where the heck is Mouse Gears? Because like they had it tucked and hidden away, and then it's like, oh, there's a series of signs with arrows. And I had to follow signs to get to Mouse Gears. It's like, what is going on?
It's not ideal for Epcot, honestly, because you do have to kind of like take a little adventure to find the entrance.
Yeah, you definitely take the scenic route to get to Mouse Gears.
It's over by the future home of Guardians of the Galaxy coaster to get in there. But yeah, when it opens back up, and again, I think they're getting very close. I think walls are going up and stuff. So I mean, it still could be several months, but they are making progress. But
yeah, opening soon? Question mark.
But I loved Mouse Gear. I do actually remember Centorium, and I don't know. Maybe it's me. I enjoy a 2-level souvenir shop. I enjoy that. It gives like some dynamics to the place, and they had a glass elevator in there, and I love a glass elevator.
Ooh, that's fancy.
Yeah. So you could also buy tape players.
What are those, Grandpa? And also, I think the original name fits more than Mouse Gears, because like I love going there, but I have wondered, it's like, why is it called Mouse Gears?
Yeah, I think that the whole reason that they changed the name was just the connection to, like, Centorium. People may not have any clue that that's a shop.
But Centorium sounds cool.
It is. It is a cool name, and I would love for them to bring it back. But, alas, Mouse Gear will remain.
Yeah, Mouse Gear seems like it caught on, so.
Yeah. And I wonder, too, like, as we talk about when that reopens, I wonder if they're going to keep a lot of that original kind of design where in Mouse Gear, they actually had like large sprockets that were interconnected and things were moving in the building, so it looked like you were in a big machine. I wonder how much of that's going to come back. I hope it'll be there. I'd love to see it.
Be nice.
Yeah. Last thing I wanted to talk about in regard to design of Communicore. One thing that made it different from Main Street USA is that Communicore was surrounded by guest areas and attractions and other things. There was no backstage area to Communicore. Therefore, they needed an underground system of tunnels, just like the Magic Kingdom, So they created EPCOT. They're not called utilidors. I don't see them really referred to that, but they are kind of a simplified version of that, where access could be attained near the backside of the energy pavilion. There's a ramp down, and then the tunnels ran all around in kind of a horseshoe shape around the underneath Communicore. So they could, people could move things around. People could move around without being necessarily seen by guests. So
that's cool. And Disney sure does love their underground tunnels.
Yeah. And it's so weird that they do it in Florida, because this isn't a place where you find basements, because, the water level, the water table tends to be kind of high, and it's swampy, and, I think that's just a construction marvel in and of itself, that they have underground areas to these parks.
Only Disney in Florida.
I guess Magic Kingdom was built up on a berm. I don't know that Epcot was, but maybe it was. And that's something I'd have to maybe do some extra research on. I won't do it.
I was going to say, but you love research so much.
Let's just say it wasn't, and they dug into the ground.
There we go. Boom. And since it's on a podcast, it must be true.
So we talked a little bit about, we talked about restaurants. We talked about the shops. Let's talk a little bit more about the kinds of exhibits and attractions that you could find when you visited Communicore. Starting with Communicore East, and again, this would have been on your left-hand side of your forward motion as you entered Epcot. This is where you would find the Astuter Computer Review from 1982 to 1984, short-lived, but it was the very first backstage show that actually was centered around, you got to see the computers that were responsible for running like all of Epcot. And of course, at that time, it looked like Mission Control, because the computers were huge cabinets. It really did. It was like this really huge, impressive thing to look at. Nowadays, they probably could run Epcot from a couple of phones. But you had a little shrunken down dude that sang the computer song, and that was the Sherman Brothers song I was referring to. If you've never heard it, I don't know where I would place it in terms of all-time great Sherman Brothers songs. It's catchy, but it's pretty silly.
Well, they all can't be winners, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say anything bad about a Sherman Brothers song. I think there's probably a reason that you don't necessarily hear it coming back up in, when we do like historical reviews of Epcot songs. We get Tomorrow's Child, we get Horizons, we get those sorts of things. We don't really get the Astuter Computer.
Though I do like saying it, the name Astuter Computer Review.
Yeah.
Astuter Computer.
And again, the whole idea was to, let people know computers were nothing to fear. Don't be afraid of computers. They're not going to eventually take over and become Skynet or anything like that.
Yes, they're absolutely not. And I'm definitely not saying this for future reference when our computer robot overlords take us over.
Well, in 1984, that show changed over to Backstage Magic. It replaced the Astuter Review. And you got a computer operator named Julie and her graphic sidekick, I.O., or Input-Output, demonstrating the operation of audio animatronics found throughout the parks. So, still, pretty cool to see. And this isn't something, a lot of these backstage behind-the-scene things, nowadays, you've got to pay money to do that,
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that's where my mind went immediately when you said that the Astuter Computer Review was the first, look behind the scenes, so to speak. It's like, yeah, nowadays it's like you'd probably have to pay what, like $75 an hour or something like that.
Yeah.
Or how much is the Keys to the Kingdom? Isn't it like $2,500 an hour, and you have to commit to like 4 hours or something like that? God,
easy.
No, yeah,
easy
absolutely. Speaking of, let me check and see if I won the Powerball this weekend, and nope, I did not. I got to go to work. Sorry.
Dang. I was really hoping you did.
You and me both, buddy.
I wanted to also talk about Smart One, SMRT-1, a small interactive robot that would play guessing games with guests. He was voice activated. If you look at the pictures that you can find on the internet of Smart One, it's hilarious because he looks like kind of a blown up version of like a toy I remember having back when I was growing up in the late 80s. Those little robots that maybe you could like type on them and they would like speak, whatever you typed or different things like that. But it's I don't know. He's He's not that impressive to look at.
No, but I can definitely see, looking at some images of it right now, where you did get that vibe of having a toy of him or a toy that looked like him.
Yeah, he, looked like something that you could take home, just a blown up version.
Mm-hmm. And of course, FYI, if you do a Google search, you have to specify SMRT1, because if not, you will see the meme from The Simpsons where Homer spells smart as he burns his high school diploma.
Always got to get a Simpsons reference.
Mm-hmm. He is so smart. SMART.
Yeah. Well, you might wonder what the fate of Smart One was, and I can tell you that it lived on for a little while after they took it out of Communicore. It actually was moved over to the Concourse Steakhouse at the Contemporary, and it had a little accident.
Uh-oh.
It had an accidental fall.
Ooh.
Yeah. It wasn't totally destroyed. It was damaged, but it wasn't totally destroyed, and they eventually sold it off. So,
do we know who bought it? Because Smart Money says it was Robin Lopez.
It could have been Robin Lopez. Yeah, we should maybe put out a call on the old Twitter and see if someone knows the location of Smart One, and if it still talks. I'd love to know that.
That'd be cool after all these years.
Yeah. Another attraction that you could experience while you were over at Communicore East was the Compute a Coaster. I bring this one up because it lived on when Communicore became Innovations, in that the idea was you built your own roller coaster, and then it would show you a view as if you were riding it. When it came to Innovations, it was called the Sum of All Thrills. You built a coaster and you got to sit in basically like a robot KUKA arm that would, simulate all the motion with you inside of it. In other words, something that would make me extremely nauseous.
I was going to say, it's like growing up, you remember in Knoxville at Westtown Mall when they had like the arcade when the movie theater opened up and stuff like that? Upstairs, they had one of these, and I rode it, and it was fun. And I could be completely wrong on this. I feel like Disney Quest had something very similar to this.
I think you're right. And it wouldn't be a shock. Maybe not exactly the same thing, but some version of like a simulator coaster thing that you could go into. Yeah. That seems right.
And as we already stated, if it's on a podcast, it must be true. So
it's a fact now.
Check the facts, Jack.
I wanted to point this one out too. This is interesting. So Communicore East, another attraction, the Great American Census Quiz. You had an up-to-the-minute U.S. population counter. There were 6 different multiple-choice quizzes based on recent national demographic data, the 50 states population clock, school days, communication line, on the farm, and home sweet home, which is kind of interesting. I don't know, basically, it's not like they were updating it every time there was a birth. They had some sort of a calculation based on, there's this many births every day and this many every hour, and they would increase it, so it was like it looked like an up-to-the-minute counter of population, but that sort of thing's always kind of fun to see.
That's cool and interesting, and I'm sure it was super popular because when kids go on vacation to Walt Disney World, that's what they want to do, take tests.
Yeah. I did that kind of stuff. Why? Because there were touch screens. Well,
please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a nerd. But also I got to play with like the touch screen different things, and that at the time was a super exciting technology.
That is true.
Yeah.
I'll give you that, you nerd.
There was a travel port that was hosted by American Express, where basically you could see slideshows of various vacation destinations, and then you could actually go over to the American Express travel service office and book a vacation.
Of course you could.
Yeah. To create some synergy with the Energy Pavilion, there was an energy exchange exhibit where they had such exciting... Zoe's excited about it.
Yeah, Zoe doesn't think we talked enough about the American Express Travel Pavilion.
She's ready to book a vacation, and I don't blame her.
Mm-hmm. She says, I have airline miles too. Sorry.
So in the energy exchange, you could visit such exciting exhibits as the offshore drilling exhibit, the blowout preventer, the coal locator.
Oh, wow.
There were video bicycles that would demonstrate how much power it would take to, like, if you were just pedaling, how much power you would need to generate to come up to the equivalent of a gallon of gas. By the way, it was 7 days worth of pedaling.
Wow, that seems like a lot.
Yeah, and you probably didn't have a 7-day ticket, so you weren't going to be able to do that.
That would be a very expensive gallon of gas.
Extremely expensive. Just to
and you would probably have to take a blowout preventer to save yourself some time over those 7 days.
That's exactly right.
I'm the worst.
No, it's good. Before we hit the record button, it was poop jokes galore. And
yep.
I knew
in the toilet.
I knew that we were going to make it back there. In Communicore West, you had Futurecom, sponsored originally by Bell System, then AT&T, and there were things like the Information Fountain, which was composed of several types of communication media, including television, radios, records, video, laser disc, audio disc, newspaper, telephones, all that sort of thing. The Age of Information was an animated mural with video, with wooden figures, computers, and hand-on games surrounding the mural. Amazing Microchip. It was a large microchip maze that you could go through. Well, younger kids could go through.
Okay.
Intelligent Network. A vast 20 by 30 foot fiber optic map of the U.S. showing long distance telephone routes.
Man, all these cutting edge technologies.
Yeah. And then teleconferencing, a series of monitors demonstrating teleconferencing. You could talk to cast members, basically, is what you could do on the teleconferencing monitors.
Oh boy. Wow.
Do you remember, this is something I always think about when I just think about technology that we have totally sunsetted and surpassed by a million miles. Non-Disney, Nickelodeon used to do this thing where they would occasionally, I remember for some reason them doing it around Halloween time. There was a contest where they might call your home phone, and if you answered the phone, you had to say some sort of a phrase. And that was the first thing that you said when you answered the phone. And I don't know, it was probably something about Snick at Night or something. I don't know what it was. If you did that, you could win a video phone. Do you remember that?
I don't remember winning the video phone, but I do remember that contest. And I just remember confusing so many of my mom and dad's friends when I would answer the phone that way.
Yeah.
I'd be like, Snick at Night all night or something like long pause. Hello? Well, and you mentioning video phones like that, like I completely forgot that was a technology that was out there and then went away. And I had a friend's mom who was incredibly paranoid of video phones. She would bring it up randomly, like we would just be having a conversation. It would somehow get on the topic of not video phones, like a phone call, and he'd be like, yeah. And then somebody on the other end of their video phone will see me just looking terrible and look into my home. I'm like, I just wanted to get a Coke out of the fridge.
Yeah. It's so funny to think about, like, the way that technology seemed so exciting and so futuristic back in those days. And they would demonstrate it. When they would do these contests, they would demonstrate it on Nickelodeon, and the pictures were so bad. It was, first of all, it was like a slideshow. It was all jerky, and like the frames per second was very, very low, but also it was extremely pixelated. Like it could have been anything or anybody on the other end of that video phone, but I wanted it. I was hoping I would win it. I wonder if anybody still has one of those. It'd be cool. But
that would be cool. I always wanted that orange couch that they were giving away.
Yeah, that too. I would have taken
that thing. Would have been awesome.
So
probably not comfortable though.
Yeah. Basically what we're demonstrating to you is the key problem, as we mentioned at the beginning of this discussion with Communicore, and that what do you do with something like this when all of a sudden technology starts exploding in the world, and the things you're demonstrating within this exhibit just become passé, and you know, and even talking about the energy pavilion, you know, the alternative forms of energy emerge, the way that we, you know, start thinking about the earth and trying to be more environmentally minded changes, and so then all those things really need to change, and it's a problem that would never end. So they decided to revamp Communicore again. It closed in January of 1994, and then it reopened in I I don't. When exactly did Innovations reopen? Was it 90? Was it still 94? Maybe.
Yeah, it was. I think it was the fall of 94, if I remember correctly, like October, September, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah. Okay. So September 94, Innovations open. So an 8 to 9 month reimagining refurb. Innovations focused a little more on hands-on kinds of things. Again, we said video games were available for you to play. They did have an IBM exhibit, and our friend Jen from Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz actually was a operating participant that would host that demonstration at the IBM exhibit, and maybe eventually we'll convince her to come on and talk about that, because I think that would be fun.
That would be a fun conversation.
Yeah. Xerox was there, GE was there. There were things like, I can remember there was a Segway exhibit where they would teach you to ride a Segway.
Probably sponsored by Segway, and there's probably like a Segway dealership tucked away in the back too.
Yeah. I remember there being one about basically what to do if there was a fire in your house, and how to identify like fire hazards.
Well, obviously panic and run out screaming. Duh.
Yeah, definitely. So they would put you in a house, and it was a competitive thing. Like, I remember the kids and I, we were a team, and we were going up against other teams that were inside this. It was kind of like a miniature version of a house, and you would go from room to room. And I think the idea was identify all the fire hazards and then move on to the next. And whoever like either did that the fastest or found the most, I don't know.
Got to live or something.
You got
like
to survive, yeah. You weren't burned.
Innovations making fire safety competitive. I love it.
Yeah. So, different things like that. But then Innovations closed down September 7th of 2019, as we mentioned, and now it is literally a shell of its former self. Totally hollowed out.
Wonder what it looks like in there right now.
You could see right through it. It's
oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I read about when they were talking about the original design of Communicore was the outside windows being non-weight bearing. And that, you could tell that was definitely true, because when you walk around the outside of the Innovations buildings, there are no walls on the sides of those buildings. They're just held up by like beams and other supports, but you can see right in there.
Wow. Okay.
It's pretty wild. Yeah.
It's been a hot minute since I've been down there, but wow. Yeah, that's kind of nuts that they have that just open and exposed.
Yeah. And I know a lot of changes, a lot of things are coming for EPCOT in the future. And, hopefully a lot of that I know has been slowed down by the global pandemic, but I hope that they don't end up having to make a lot of sacrifices to what Future World was going to be, because as much as I love old EPCOT, I know I'm sitting here talking about the problems that were presented by old EPCOT. I was pretty excited for what was to come in Future World. And I hope that a lot of that gets to eventually come to fruition, even if it takes a little bit longer. So
I would prefer them to take their time and get to that vision that they had, as opposed to be like, all right, well, we're going to sacrifice 60% of what we've talked about, and here it is, because we had a deadline or something.
Deadline, exactly. Let's not worry so much about like, oh, we had a date planned to finish this whole Future World project. Let's maybe consider there were some extenuating circumstances and maybe push all that out. I keep thinking about that convention pavilion that they were going to be building, that multi-tiered thing that was going to look out into World Showcase Lagoon. And now it's basically, the last thing I heard about it is that there's going to be a convention area. Like, I don't think they're building that building at all. I think it's just like been scrapped, and that's pretty sad, because that was going to be an impressive piece of construction itself. So.
And obviously what's going on in the world is sad in its own right, but it kind of gave me vibes like back after the events of September 11th in 2001, like when the amusement park industry just took a hit. Nobody wanted to fly or travel anywhere. And it's like they had to scale back on a lot of pie in the sky ideas that they had.
Yeah, it's true. And it's sad, because there's a lot of things that were like fantastic, exciting ideas that just never got to see the light of day. And I worry about how much of the EPCOT project, the reimagining of EPCOT, is going to be left on the table. But we'll see. Hopefully things get moving again, and they just, like I said, they put it off, and eventually we get these things, even if it's maybe another 8 to 10 years. But yeah, I mean, that was Communicore and Interventions. We will reach out to Jen, and I hope maybe she's listening now, and maybe she'd be willing to come on and chat with us about Interventions and what her experience was like there. That'd be a fun little M3-4D departure.
Mm-hmm. That would be fun. Maybe we could get it sometime in February once we do the whole, Monday through Friday monorail.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That'd be a good plan. We got to find content.
Yeah, you committed to this. You're just like, oh crap! I actually got to do this.
That's exactly what Sam was saying to me this morning. So, all right. Well, let's wrap this one up. We got another segment coming for you today. So, 3-segment show. Back to the full strength monorail. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back to the monorail. It is now time for segment 3 of the show. Our feature, what do we call this? This is our potpourri section, our miscellaneous section. Oh my God! You did not just say potpourri.
You spray it in the toilet so it doesn't stink.
Those commercials.
Wow, that's 2 segments in a row. We've talked about poop.
Yep.
Why did we talk about poop the first time?
You weren't part of M3-4D.
Oh.
Whole bunch of poop jokes.
Before and during when we recorded.
Yep.
Well, that's not what we're going to talk about.
Wait, were you talking about Carousel of Progress?
Oh, my goodness.
That was a joke.
Wah.
Not a funny joke.
For this segment, I think we should talk about more monkeys.
No. Here's what we're going to do. A big show came to Disney Plus this past week. Much anticipated. As you know, we didn't get a Marvel movie in the year 2020, but now we have a brand new Marvel series. And it was so cool. WandaVision.
You better not spoil anything.
We're not going to spoil it.
Seen it.
We're not going to talk about
I'm
WandaVision.
literally going to spoil it.
Wait, Garrett, you didn't watch it with us.
No, I wasn't there.
Lame.
Yeah. I'm not digging into WandaVision, but what it did was it started me once again thinking about how I would love to see more of a Marvel presence in the parks. And I realize we have an issue because of the deal with Universal, and they have the rights to all these characters in the parks for now. I just wanted to play around with the idea of what we might like to see Disney do with Marvel in the parks someday in the future. Just kind of a blue sky kind of a concept. I know we're getting the Guardians of the Galaxy coaster in EPCOT, so we're getting that. But we don't really have, on the East Coast, we don't really have any other Marvel presence. So what comes to mind when I say that? What characters do you want to see? What kind of interactions, experiences? What do you think?
Dr. Doom, and I would love for him to have a drop tower.
Oh my God.
I think there should be like a Marvel area, like a city, and
they should have comic characters on the.
Shut up.
No, like a city, not like a little like a town area like that. Like it would be like a little New York. Villains would come out sometimes and start like causing a ruckus, and then some like a superhero would show up and like take them down. I think that would be really cool.
That would be cool. Where would you put that?
I have no idea. Somewhere in Hollywood Studios.
Hollywood Studios, for sure. I think that would work.
But then that would be like, okay, well, the Muppets area already looks like a city. Let's just throw it in there.
I think that's probably what would happen is they would take that area, they would make it look more like a downtown New York type area like it used to, and then you'd get Marvel superheroes running
That would
around.
be stinky.
So thanks, Garrett.
Yeah,
You just
it's
got
your
rid of the
fault.
Muppets.
I got rid of the Muppets. I just killed the Muppets.
You did.
Yep. Hashtag Save the Muppets is now canceled. Thanks, Garrett.
Garrett just killed the Muppets.
I'll tell you
I
what.
would really like to see Spider-Man like appear and like take down a villain in the parks. Though that would be really cool.
There is a ride you can ride with Spider-Man in it.
Not a
McKenna?
ride. I'm not talking about a ride.
Why don't you and Steffers start a Universal podcast?
I don't
ride is
want
really good,
a
though.
Universal podcast.
Seems like you do with how much you're talking about it.
I just think it's funny. I love a good joke.
Yeah.
You know what else they could do that I don't like?
Wow.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Well, McKenna, said it, the Tower of Terror. But then Aerosmith is kind of getting dated, even though they're like gonna be legends, in the music industry. It's not gonna last forever at Disney. Then you got that Cars area over there. That's
Lightning
kinda,
McQueen Racing Academy.
yeah, I mean, it's cute, but that's not gonna last very long.
I don't think it will. Yeah.
That's like a whole area. Ooh, I'm angry.
Well, wait, I don't understand. What are you going to... Okay.
They could change all of that to Marvel. Ooh, I'm angry.
Why? Are you saying
I
it should
actually
be the
don't hate
Hulk?
that idea.
I don't have
No, they're going to change the rock and roller
I don't
coaster.
have a huge attachment to the Cars area, but the rock and roller coaster I do.
Why not make Rock and Roller Coaster like an Iron Man?
I will kill
overlay.
Iron Man. I will
Okay,
kill
well, first
Iron
of
Man.
all, you clearly didn't see the end of Endgame. Settle down.
There are multiple universes, and I'll go to each one and kill him.
Keep the track the same, and keep the music really good in there.
And turn it into the Hulk coaster.
Oh my god!
No.
I mean, like, I don't hate the Iron Man idea. You talk about keep the music good. I mean, like Tony Stark in the MCU is a big fan of classic metal.
Yeah.
So
You jerk!
That would be really cool.
So I like the idea. I like what you're talking about. I think this is
I
good.
don't like it.
I like it.
Well, I don't.
I think that would actually be kind of cool.
I don't.
boom,
I like the
3 to
rock and
2 in
roller
your
coaster.
face, Sam.
I like the rock and roller coaster.
You came up with the idea.
No, I didn't come up with it. I was thinking like a
This is your fault.
Disney turd.
I like the idea of them putting classic metal in rock and roller coaster and having it be Tony Stark.
Doom Eternal.
I mean a Disney
Doom
turd.
Eternal coaster.
Because they're cutting all the perks, so why not just cut the things I love?
Can we stop
I mean,
talking about poop?
You do bring up a good point. Eventually, you would think that the Aerosmith license is going to come up, and I mean, like Aerosmith is a rock and roll icon, legendary band, stuff like that. But in 2021, does that really move the needle for anybody, especially the younger crowd?
Yeah.
Like, I'm willing to bet there's a lot of people that go to Disney that know Aerosmith is, they're the rock and roller coaster band. Like, and that's the only exposure they have to them. I mean, yeah, they've probably heard like Walk This Way, but that's because of Run DMC and other stuff. But at the same time, like, they are going to have to figure out something to do with rock and roller coaster because Aerosmith can't stay there forever.
Right. So if we could cut through all the nonsense for a moment, I think we have an actual good idea.
I don't.
Which is to change it to be like a Tony Stark Expo where you go in, the pre-show would be some sort of a demonstration of technology. And guess what? Oh, by the way, you get to fly in this thing in the next room.
Yep.
And then you move on, you ride the roller coaster, and it's all cool, like you are Iron Man kind of thing. That's pretty cool. I like it.
It's a good idea. And plus, I mean, the Lightning McQueen Racing Academy or whatever, that's a lot of real estate you can put other stuff in, like character meet and greets. It's like
Yes.
that's where my mind immediately goes when you say, what do you want Marvel-wise in the parks? I want to be able to meet Spider-Man. And yes, McKenna, I know I can do it. Shut up. Nobody cares. But I want to be able to like just hug Spider-Man because Spider-Man's my guy, and I want to be able to take pictures with Spider-Man and other characters like Captain America and
And
Star
the rest.
You've got
like,
that over at Disneyland.
I swear to Jesus.
At Disneyland, they literally have those characters.
Yeah,
You're about to be canceled.
Let me just go to Disneyland then.
Yeah, go.
Disneyland's not open, by the way.
I don't care. Break in. Wear it yourself.
I would like to meet Thor and Loki, but the
Loki.
people-
Loki.
Loki. I did say it weird. Loki.
Loki.
I know how to say it. I just said it slow.
Do ya?
Shut up.
I don't know.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of Low Key. I think he's like some independent rapper.
He flies.
Sound like
he
a
fly-
rapper.
But he flies under the radar, so.
I'm going to sound really dumb on this show.
No, you're not.
That's
McKenna
fine.
will. Don't worry.
I will sound. Oh my
Okay.
god.
I want to meet Thor and Loki, but I want it to be the real actors. Ah!
I don't know if that would happen.
That would be cool.
They could make surprise appearances. Like, didn't
Tom.
Tom Holland do that at Disneyland?
I feel
He
like
did,
that could happen.
and Johnny Depp sometimes randomly just shows up as Jack Sparrow. It's like Disney doesn't even allow him to do that. He just walks in. And it's like, oh, okay, all right.
I'm here
I guess
today.
We can't do anything.
Yep.
I have an idea. Landon and I referenced it in M3-4D, and that is something we talk about a lot, the Tomorrowland problem. And I've heard that being tossed around in the past as like being kind of a Tony Stark Expo. But how about this? Why not turn it into Wakanda?
Ooh.
Where?
Tomorrowland, Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be pretty cool.
Wakanda's all about technology.
Yeah,
Like our.
ooh.
I love the idea, but at the same time, you're sacrificing Tomorrowland.
Well,
That's
it's just you're going to keep all the elements. Like Space Mountain's not going to go away.
you know that,
Carousel of Progress.
you know that what is it, like the vibranium train thing? People Mover could be themed like that.
Exactly. That's
Ooh, that could be cool.
that's a
And-
good plan.
wow.
well,
That's-
they just
that's-
built
that's
Tron
really cool.
Coaster.
Well, Tron Coaster could easily be changed into some sort of a Wakanda thing.
Well, speaking of what really, I guess, spawned this, we could overhaul Sam's favorite ride, Carousel of Progress, with Wanda and Vision.
Yes, I love that idea. That would be great.
I love it too.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that one myself. Good job, Landon.
That's fantastic.
Let's keep talking about how we can change Carousel of Progress.
I think that would be super cool because absolutely it could occur in different decades.
You know how
and-
much hate we're gonna get for this segment?
This is just a fun. We're not.
I don't like the idea of changing Tomorrowland. So
Okay.
let's not talk about that anymore.
Well, if you want to protect Tomorrowland, what if I mean, we're already getting the Guardians in Epcot with the roller coaster. What if we put like the Wakandan Technology Expo in Epcot where Innovations used to be?
Yeah, you could do
Pretty
that.
cool.
I want there to be, because you would actually, the reason I thought of Tomorrowland, first of all, you're solving the problem of having to make it futuristic because it would just be Wakanda. And then you can do something with the old Stitch Great Escape footprint. Maybe that could be a Black Panther meet and greet. I don't know.
And by something, you mean expand Stitch to every ride, which is what everybody wants, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, do you think there would be any Marvel property or any kind of attraction or experience you would put in Animal Kingdom at all?
Wait, hold on, 1 minute.
No.
The Tomorrowland thing could just have a Wakandan outpost.
Yeah, that's true.
And about that, Animal Kingdom has a lot of Africa in it.
Yeah,
There could be a Wakandan outpost in there too.
that's true. Oh, okay.
I was actually thinking about what about M'Baku, the character of the Wakabi?
Yeah.
I feel like they could be in
that'd be
Animal
cool.
Kingdom.
Is that almost too much of a... I mean, I know that's a big part of the movie, but would people really get that or connect to that? I don't know. I like it. I think it's a great idea, but I don't know. It's not as in your face as, well, here's Black Panther.
I mean, the only change that I think they need to do in Animal Kingdom is the dinosaur area. And I like the Zootopia idea. So,
That's
Yeah.
a good idea.
but other than that, I think they leave the other areas the same.
Well, it really would be cool though if they hid it as much as possible, like Wakanda, and then you go in and it's like a huge, like in your face like thing,
Yeah.
That would be cool.
because that's how Wakanda is.
Yeah. I like
Be
that too.
very Diagon Alley.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And what if they redid the It's a Bug's Life show with Ant-Man? And it's a show talking about different types of insects. I mean,
That's
as
a
an
good-
arachnophobe, my fat behind is not going to get on that ride, but still.
Kenna is not happy.
That's fun. I like that because I was actually thinking we got to get Ant-Man in there somewhere. That's a good idea.
Ants.
Or, I mean, you could do that in the Honey, I Shrunk the Audience theater.
Okay, all right. Apparently, Epcot is becoming half Marvel now.
Yeah, why not? I mean,
We could diversify the Marvel heroes and put them in each country.
We can create somewhere in the World Showcase for Sokovia.
that's right. That's right.
I think it might work.
I had one more suggestion. So, altering my Wakanda suggestion for Tomorrowland, what if you just take Rocket Tower Plaza, okay? And that's where you get on the People Mover. So, that could be the vibranium train. And then the rockets, they get changed into Wakanda ships.
She's not happy.
McKenna's dying.
She's not happy.
This is honestly my favorite podcast we've ever done. Just seeing McKenna slowly die inside.
We're not
I
predicting the future, by the way, McKenna.
Don't like any of these
These are
ideas.
just fun ideas.
I'm usually the one who gives up on these podcasts because I
I
can't
like-
control you all, and now it's McKenna.
I like that idea.
Thank you.
Oh, how the turntables have
Yep.
Yep.
I really think they should do something to Carousel of Progress.
I really like my WandaVision.
I do too. I mean, if they were going to do anything, I actually would probably be on board with a WandaVision overlay to.
They're probably not going to get rid of the last thing.
They won't.
No, yeah, exactly, because that is the last thing that Walt has his fingerprints on. So sorry, Sam. My one good idea is not going to happen.
Okay, last thing I want to say. Depending on the success of the upcoming Fantastic Four reboot,
Oh my god.
I feel like we got to get the Fantastic Four in there somewhere.
If they don't do the Fantastic Four justice, I say it is time to give up on the Fantastic Four, even though they are one of the most important characters to the Marvel Universe. But we just have to give up on them.
Yeah.
We just will have to.
Remind
If the
me who's
MCU
in
can't do it, nobody can.
The Rock guy is.
His name is The Thing, Ben Grimm.
Yeah.
The fire guy is.
The Human Torch.
Yeah, that.
Did somebody say
I know what he's
Fireball?
called. I'm
No.
I know what he's called. I was continuing Mom's thing.
The stretchy guy is
That Iceman.
Stretch Armstrong?
Yeah, exactly.
Chrome
Mr.
surfboard.
Fantastic.
And then, of course,
Chrome
the
surf.
see-through lady.
See-through lady. Invisible. She's invisible.
Maybe it's just been a long time since I've seen a Fantastic Four movie.
They haven't been fantastic.
No.
Yeah, the movies are pretty bad. But Disney did get it right, and it was called The Incredibles. So
There you go.
That's true.
All right. Well, if you have some ideas about things you'd love to see, and this doesn't have to really be realistic, we're just playing around with the idea of what kinds of things we'd like to see in the parks, incorporating Marvel, getting our characters in there, changing some experiences. We're just having some fun with it.
Where's Bolt?
Where is Bolt?
Bolt
Where's
is
Bolt?
dead. Bolt
Why'd
is
they do that
literally
to him?
dead. They
Why'd
made
they
one
do that
movie
to
and they're
him?
like, okay, bye, Bolt.
Where is he?
I don't know why they never really did anything else with him, but I know you were a big fan of that movie, so support Bolt. Support your local Bolt.
Hashtag save Bolt.
Halftime. I can't speak anymore. We're done. But this has been fun. I do want to hear from you all, though. So if you've got your thoughts, ideas, opinions, anything that your little heart desires, I think we're going to get some cool stuff whenever Disneyland does open back up. But I need some of that over here on the East Coast. Maybe some different kinds of things. Let's do it.
Can't they just open up a new park for the Marvel? Can't they just open
okay
up a
with
new
that.
one?
Oh, yeah, I'd be fine with that, too.
They don't have to ruin anything.
I don't want them to ruin things. I'm just trying to think of plussing things.
I don't know. No.
They're just
Ruining it. Just make a new park.
They're just little fun ideas.
You know, you're sounding a lot like a Dillo over there
Okay,
today.
but you guys have touched things that are very personal and close to me.
That's exactly
That's
what they would say.
See,
yeah.
nor I am.
Dillo. That's a
I
Dillo
love
saying.
when new things are added to the park or when they change things like for Splash Mountain.
Yeah.
But why are you going? Why
do
would
you have to
why
take
do you
away things?
specifically come after the things that I like today?
I feel like I could literally take a clip of Theme Park Thursday of Jen saying
is
exactly
the
what you
worst
just
I think,
episode.
I think it's not because we're targeting what you like. It's targeting things that would be very easy to change to Marvel things.
Yeah, it's fine. We're not trying. And this is we're just joking.
You guys hate me. I'm done with the pod. I'm leaving the podcast.
We're
You'll be
goofing.
fine.
We're we're boot goofing.
Boot goofing.
Yeah.
Real quick before we wrap it up, I want to point out M'Baku leads the Jabari. I just want to point that out there before somebody gets at me on Twitter. So
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Tag Landon on Twitter, please.
Go
yeah,
ahead.
bring it on. I
ahead
am
and
the
get
Monday
at him.
morning monorail hate department. So if you have hate, bring it to me.
All right. Well, if you'd like to let us know what your thoughts and ideas about incorporating the more Marvel into the Walt Disney World Resort, what would you love to see? You
Miles
can
Morales.
hit us up at Morning Monorail on Twitter, mondaymorningmonorail@gmail.com. Call the voicemail 407-917-2144. And you can join our Monday Morning Monorail family group on Facebook. Don't forget, Skelligummy everywhere. At Skelligummy on Twitter, Skelligummy on the YouTube and on Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tumblr, I guess.
Oh, and Tumblr. Nice. And
Is
Landon,
Tumblr still a thing?
I have
Apparently.
a Tumblr.
I
Okay,
have one.
neat.
I
Yeah, I learned
still use
something
it.
today.
let's tell people where they can find you.
Oh, L-A-N-D-O-Z, please go follow me, Landon Doan. I'm the best, Landon Doan, not the rest. That's where you can follow me 280 characters at a time on Twitter. And no, I'm not on Tumblr. I also run a website, buttmunchchips.com, buttmunchchips.
Sit on your butt and munch.
Okay, well, after that, I'm canceling the website, even though I just auto-renewed for another year. That's where you can find really outdated podcasts. I haven't even updated it in probably over a year, so I don't know why I keep plugging it. So in lieu of that, I invite you to go to the iTunes store and search for Near Fall Radio. That's where myself and Will Rab wax poetic on the sweet science of professional wrestling. We should have a new episode coming sometime this week, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if I'm lazy on the editing like I always am. We're going to be talking about the first ever All Elite Wrestling Awards that they nominated and some decisions that I think we're going to question, but who knows. And I also appear on the Phil Show, News Talk 987 WOKI radio station locally here in Knoxville, Tennessee, streaming 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at newstalk987.com. Also available in the News Talk 987 app and the iHeartRadio app as well. And by the way, even though McKenna is now a dillo, she still has more hair than Frank. So.
Fact.
You're getting a nasty look.
McKenna Dillo.
Oh, I can see it. My video's working. Like throw all the shade you want. Landon don't care.
I'm not a part of this podcast
Do you know what?
anymore.
Are you joining Theme Park Thursday?
No, I'm not joining any podcast. I'm going to start my own podcast where I just am really mean.
Well, you do
whole
that.
time.
You've done that
Yeah, I was
here
gonna
for
say,
2
yeah,
years.
Okay, yeah, but I'm going to go do it by myself.
Okay.
No, she'll be back next week as long as you believe it in your hearts and you clap your hands and
Don't clap.
So McKenna's going to start posting emo blogs on LiveJournal, so be sure to follow that.
Live journal.
She'll be posting Evanescence lyrics too, so that's going to be fun.
wake me up inside.
Oh, God.
I will
I
be
can't wake
posting
up.
hate towards at the Landaws.
No, we're not going to do that. Don't encourage that. No, but don't forget, guys, you can join us Tuesday nights. We do a live show, bringing it back to poop.
Yeah.
High five.
With Frank and Jen from Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube. It's on the Dillo's Diz YouTube. You can also stream it on the Monday Morning Monorail Family Group on Facebook. It goes simulcast to both places. Chat with us in the chat box. We love to see you. Landon's there sometimes, and we have a great time. But if you can't join us there, come back here next Monday. It'll be our final week having just one show, because starting in February, every work day, baby. Get ready. More monorail than you can handle coming at you. But we love you all. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again next time. Have a magical week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, my God.
Yikes.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for riding with us today. We hope you enjoyed the journey, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, we want to hear from you. Send us questions, comments, and suggestions on Twitter at Morning Monorail. Our email address is mondaymorningmonorail@gmail.com. You can also call our voicemail at 407-917-2144. As we approach the station, gather your belongings and please watch your step as you exit.
See y'all.